No one knows better than all of this, better than Commissioner Bernard Kerik. He has been the commissioner of the NYPD. He's a great guy. When I walk with Bernie, I tell you this every time Bernie comes on. When you walk down the streets with Bernie, he is a cop's cop. The police officers love this man, and we appreciate Bernie taking the time to join us this morning. Commissioner, welcome back. I wish it was better circumstances, Bernie, but we appreciate you being with us, sir.
Good morning, Joe.
So give us your reaction, if you would, about Commissioner O'Neill's decision to fire Officer Pantaleo, Bernie, if you would.
I'm disappointed. I thought it's the wrong decision. I don't think it sends a good message to the men and women of the NYPD. It's just, I watched that videotape, Joe, a dozen times. Probably more than anybody, I've been involved in the martial arts since I was 13 years old. I got my first black belt when I was 16, and that was a long, long time ago. That wasn't a chokehold. It was a takedown. I was disturbed by the commissioner's comments on a number of fronts, most importantly, where he said, if he was in the same situation, he would have or could have made the same mistake. I don't know, Joe. It's just it sends a really bad message to the men and women that work for him. This is a time where the men and women in the NYPD and in law enforcement all over this country needs to be supported. You have mayors and governors and legislators that are annihilating them, that are bashing them constantly. They need to feel like their leadership is going to be behind them, and they're going to have the benefit of the doubt when in question. This kid didn't do nothing intentional. He was making a lawful arrest. He was making an arrest with 2 or 3 other cops. Mm-hmm. I heard somebody say yesterday he should have waited for more backup. What do you call it, an army? You told the guy he's under arrest. You have 2 guys there, 3 guys there with you. You're going to effect that arrest. Mm-hmm. We're putting the cops in a position today where they just, they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't, and I just think it's bad news for the police department.
Yeah, Bernie, what action would you have taken, sir?
If I was a cop?
Yeah, if you were the commissioner and you were in the situation of Commissioner O'Neill, what action could you take?
Joe, I went through sort of the same scenario as Commissioner O'Neill. I had if you remember, the Amadou Diallo case where he was shot by 3 anti-crime cops. That didn't happen when I was the police commissioner, but the disciplinary part of that.
Right.
These were 3 cops. They were acquitted in a state court. They were looked at by the feds. There were no criminal charges in the end, no criminal convictions. It went to a department trial, and I had to make a decision. What do you do with them? In that case, everybody was screaming, they got to be fired, they got to be fired. Basically, what I did is I said, look, for their own good and for the good of the city, for their community, I'm not sending them back out onto the street. Right. I'm going to keep them on restricted duty. Right. I'm going to keep them on the job. I'm not going to destroy their lives or their families. It was a tragic incident, just like Garner. In Pantaleo's circumstance, I think at most, what I would have done is I would have said, look, for the betterment of the communities and the city in general, come in, retire, vest, go on and look for something else to do. But what I wouldn't have done is I wouldn't have destroyed this kid's life, the possibility for a job in the future. This was a death sentence for this cop, and it's wrong.
You know, Commissioner, you had Bernie. You had a mayor that understood and appreciated the police department, and Mayor Giuliani. The Commissioner O'Neill is in such a tough situation with this mayor. This, in my opinion, this is me speaking, not Bernie, not the station. I just feel like he's anti-cop. I just always felt that about Mayor De Blasio. So it's tough. I mean, and you can give the Commissioner O'Neill, you got to give him a little bit because of the political ramifications that he has to work with.
In all honesty, Joe.
Yeah.
In all honesty. You got to give him more than a little bit. I'll be really honest. I wouldn't work for De Blasio. I couldn't work for him.
Wow.
I would never work for him. But I get it. I completely get it. De Blasio wanted this kid fired from day one, and was very clear about it. He is an anti-cop mayor. He's been an anti-cop, politician prior to being mayor. And that's something that the commissioner has to live with. And you know me, Joe, you know me sort of personal more than most people. I'm not one to bash the police commissioners before me or after me.
That's right.
I try to stay away from that. I just think this was a bad decision that is not going to send a good message to the men and women. And the commissioner said this. He said this. He said, if I was a cop today, I would be angry or mad over my decision.
You would hate me,
okay,
right?
What does that tell you, Joe? What does that tell you? What does it tell you when the commissioner says, you know what, I could have made the same mistake as Pantaleo.
Yeah.
You know what? Don't Monday morning quarterback positions like this if you're not there, if you're not in the mix, if you're not in the fight. And you know what, Joe? We're never out of the fight in law enforcement. You're never out of the fight.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You can't say, hey, time out. This guy's too big. You know what? Hold up. Time out. We'll come back and get you later, or we'll get you tomorrow, or whatever the case may be. When you're told you're under arrest, you're under arrest. You have to comply.
Yeah.
And I don't give a damn if you're for selling cigarettes or mass murder or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's a lawful arrest.
Yeah. Commissioner Bernard Kerik with us. Hey, Bernie, on a personal note, because I see you personally when we go out and when we go down January to Action Martial Arts magazine, and then I see all the security guard, all the law enforcement, how they react to you. What words do you have for the men and women of the New York Police Department this morning? And Commissioner O'Neill as well, because I opened the show this morning, Bernie, so upset because it's like there's this concerted effort to tear down everything that we believe in and politically as well. When you see people going after Israel, like, well, how does that happen in the 21st century? And people trying to go after law enforcement after it's Bernie Kerik more than anybody else. Commissioner O'Neill makes this the safest big city under this mayor. Commissioner O'Neill still makes New York the safest big city in America. I hate to see the family of the NYPD torn apart like this. And you know how your son is a cop, and you see my cousin Paulie's kid is a great cop, and I see how hard they work and how committed they are. I hate to see the family torn apart like this, Commissioner.
Yeah, but you know what, Joe? This is a much bigger issue than just New York City. You have an extremely liberal, socialist / communist mayor in Mayor de Blasio.
Yeah.
But this is a nationwide problem. We live in what we call today the United States of America, but there are people in this country. There are legislators in the House of Representatives. There's mayors, there's governors that want to see this the socialist states of America. And you know what? You have people trying to take away our guns. You have people trying to take away authority. You have, this is kind of crazy. I mean, it's a bad time in this country. And de Blasio is a big part of that, in my opinion.
You're right. Over the weekend, several officers attacked in Bed-Stuy with stuff thrown at them, and I can't stand it. What happened in Philadelphia? Did you see there's a guy up there holed up with a weapon, and as the cops came into the community, and you see the video, they start pushing the cops. I mean, how do you...
But this is an environment where people are emboldened by legislators. They're emboldened by mayors that they know are not going to be out there to support the men and women that work for them. Do you actually think that stuff would have happened under Giuliani? No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Giuliani had a reputation for giving the cops a hard time on the contractual issues,
right?
Because the money was short in those times in the city.
Right.
You know what? There isn't a cop that worked under Rudy Giuliani that didn't know he had your back 100% in time of need. He had your back. You had the benefit of the doubt when there was a problem. In a lesser grand jury or you were convicted in a court of law, he had your back. Those kind of mayors are far and few between these days.
Yeah. Bernie, I got to just ask you, and thanks so much for joining us this morning. In the trial judge's 43-page report, she indicated that Pantaleo lied under questioning, she said. If that's the case, could you understand why this was an appropriate response? What happened?
Yeah, from my understanding, Joe, the lie or the misstatement was that he didn't use a chokehold. I would agree. I watched the video. I don't know. I wasn't at the trial. You know what? I know what I saw on that video.
Yes, sir.
And I've been a cop a long time.
Yeah. I
was a very aggressive cop, an active cop. I've been involved in the martial arts. I didn't see that kid do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And I just think it's the wrong decision.
Commissioner O'Neill was a captain and a deputy inspector while you were police commissioner, and I know you have nothing but respect for him. So it's just a tough situation. And
listen, I think he's a great guy. He's had a phenomenal career. He's come through the ranks. He's done a great job.
Yeah.
I think he's in a bad spot. I think he works for a mayor that wanted this decision. I don't know, Joe. It's just a bad time.
Well, and on another note, if we can, just to lighten up, Bernie, lighten up for us, because Frankie Fibro said this too. A.G. Barr removed the acting director of Bureau of Prisons in the aftermath of what happened with this Epstein case. We think the president should pardon you, number one, Bernie Kerik, and then, man, boom, you are the new the head of the Bureau of Prisons. Yeah, what do you think, Bernie? Can we push that? Can we push that mantra on the show? Do you mind?
You could push it all you want, and people are just going to think you're smoking dope. But I will tell you, Joe, I'm glad to see that the move was made. I'm not too happy about who they put in there. They took an old timer. So, Catherine was the person they put in was there in the past. If you're going to fix the BOP,
yeah,
and you're going to remove the corruption and the incompetence and the mismanagement from the BOP, you've got to put somebody in there that's going to change the culture. Don't bring somebody that was, that was in the position back in the 90s and put them back in the position today. That's not going to help the BOP. You need somebody that's going to do what Giuliani did when he sent me to Rikers, or when he brought Bill Bratton to the NYPD in 1994. That's what you need. You need an outsider for culture change. And until you do that, you're going to have the same old stuff. So we'll see where it goes.
All right, Frankie, I think that means we could go ahead with our little initiative to get Bernie Kerik as Director of Bureau of Prisons for the United States of America.
To me, it's the only choice.
But just don't get upset when people smash you.
Yeah, Bernie. Listen, thank you for your service, man. Thanks for your as a commissioner of the NYPD. I appreciate you always joining us, my friend. God bless you, Bernie. I'll see you soon.
Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you, my friend. Take care.